Hello guys and welcome to the channel, it's Erad, and in this video we are going to react to a video from Ray'sGuide. Ray'sGuide is back from CitizenCon, and so he is going to tell us about what he thinks is missing from base building. This should be an interesting one, so let's check it out and let's see what his thoughts are. Let's go. Let me put this right here. Let's get started.
Hello, this is Daniel Raymond.
Oh, he sounds tired. It was a long trip to England for him.
Fine, Ray'sGuide. And now that the internet has digested CitizenCon reviews, summaries, and AI-generated accolades and denigrations, it is time for digging into the actual analysis of the content, including the extra tough bits about what should have been there but wasn't. And I'm going to start with base building, not simply because I have an interest in the system, but also a firm real-world background to base it on. And what they demonstrated was a simple plop and build methodology. And if all you are going to be building is a proverbial fishing cabin in the woods, then that is all you're going to need. And for those simple cases, it must be possible to accomplish it as not significantly more complicated as that.
Yeah, right. It's just going to be for some people, it's just going to be a small little house where they're just going to be resting and put their trophies and things that they're going to be collecting in the verse, and that's all they want, and that's totally fine.
However, the actual measure of this system isn't going to be whether you can build a fishing cabin in the woods, but whether your large org can execute a massive base with shared effort and to have it be, at the end, efficient, functional, and defensible.
Yeah, that is going to be, of course, the main feature of that base building element in Star Citizen. The main drawing act, I would say, right? What will keep on people playing and why they return to the game and what keeps them motivated.
That takes a process and people with particular skills, and the game needs to support that process. Just taking a whole bunch of players and give them the ability to plop down and build at will on a site is going to result in a chaotic, non-functional, and indefensible mess.
That's
which,
right.
Of course, will result in the org members' interest in the base project crashing.
That's right. It needs to be organized. It needs to look good. It needs to make sense, right? And so far, it's true that we have not seen how CIG are going to do that.
And actually, even if you are building a personal hideout, you should be following the same process, although perhaps not needing to do so in such a formal manner. When building a personal hideout, you will be playing all the roles, but on a much larger base. Not everyone is interested in doing every role, and even more so, not everyone is good at it.
Yeah, and it's going to take so much time. I mean, I can already see that in Starfield, right? I'm trying to build my own outpost in Starfield. It's so hard. You gotta collect the resources and manage your personnel, manage the power, and make sure the outpost makes sense in the layout also. Oh my gosh, right? In the end, when you have something that looks great, it's super satisfactory, but you gotta make it look great. You gotta make it functional. You gotta make it make sense, and that's hard. And it's gonna be a lot of trial. There's going to be a lot of people who will be messing around, who will fail, and it's going to be visible all the time until it decays and it goes away, and that's going to be a big mess.
Each part of the process requires different skills. Sure, in a demo, they can show a massive base just being built by slapping things down as if they happen, but that's just a demo.
And demos have always proven to be so unrealistic compared to the real outcome in the game anyway.
Chaos of real life and the chaos of groups of real people, the result will be absolute chaos and not at all functional or efficient. So I'm going to, like the Sandworm Assault presentation at CitizenCon, make this a narration about a team of 4 members. Or, in a really big base, this would probably be 4 teams, and their actions are more or less sequential. So starting off, the planner.
Oh, he did like in CitizenCon.
The size of the org, the goals of the org, the goals of the base, the capacities of the site, the roles of the site in the org. For example, will this be the headquarters, the command center for a system, a forward operating base, and if a production center for what? This often involves decisions beyond this particular base itself. If this base isn't the organization headquarters, where is it?
Yeah, right. It's supposed to be. It can be a production facility. It can be a resource mining facility.
Center. It is part of a production chain leading to the eventual industrial dominance of the org as a supplier of. This may seem like a pretty overwhelming job, but imagine being a large organization not having anybody doing the planning.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Sometimes it happens. Everybody does whatever they want, and there are lots of orgs like that are very destructured. It is going to happen.
Ineffective, even if the organization did have a large committed group of people. In terms of a specific base, though, the task of the planner is to produce a list of exactly what this base needs to have included. How many hangars of what size, how many habitations, how many power plants of what type, and down the line. In addition,
I always fail to do that when I build outposts in Starfield. Yeah, he's right.
The planner might in fact be part of a team of players, one doing the industrial planning, one doing logistical planning, and another doing defense planning. So what
I was not thinking about all of that
to supply this function? Really pretty much just one thing: predictable, reliable data. Data on how much something of an extractor can get per hour, data on the turnaround time for a hangar, data on how many people can log into a single hab, etc. About just about anything.
And it's going to be a lot of spreadsheets and a lot of third-party websites like we're seeing right now already, right? I think, all these websites that offer third-party data, they're still going to be running. They're just going to be offering different things in the future, but they're still going to be operating.
Without data, you can't plan. Game companies are often stingy with data because they want to be free to tweak it behind the scenes without notice, or because they feel that statistics break the immersion. But
no, they
silly.
don't.
In the real world, data is everywhere. Why in a game world having data be everywhere not be realistic?
Data is something that we need in order to make proper decisions. Absolutely. And this is something that I feel is missing a lot in Star Citizen, right? We don't know what the stats are of pretty much anything. We just know, it's medium, it's heavy, it's light, and that's basically it. And it needs to be way more than that.
The next step is the designer. The designer's job is to
Ray'sGuide has been having a lot of fun with AI.
And creates a layout that is efficient, effective, and aesthetic. Often in the process, they have to add items that weren't included but implied by the requirements of the planners. So, for example, the planners usually won't try to specify exactly how many linear meters of roadway and walkway will be needed, because that, of course, is driven by the layout. Also, miscellaneous convenience features generally are not part of the planner's concern. Now,
that would be my role. I like to design things and make the outpost look having like roads, especially roads. That's going to be my thing. I love roads and like city building games.
What the F is this huge?
That's what I would be doing. But planning, not my forte.
Any sort of large-scale development. It seems like an absurd and wasteful expenditure. It looks like the purpose is to give a high-level viewport of the site. But why is that necessary when all the construction gear is already drones? At the small scale, we got our high-level perspective by just changing our viewport to the drone. Why doesn't this work for medium and large
it gives a much better point of view.
It gives a much more logical explanation of being able to pan, zoom in and out. Why presume that we have to build a tower in order to do a worse job of it? Let it be a glitz item for the CitizenCon presentation, and then
why? Why is there a tower, right?
We don't need a tower. What do we need? The first thing we need is a particular designation in the organization right system for who is a designer, and conversely, who is not.
So you are that outpost, and you can give authorization in games for who does what. I see what you mean there.
Anybody be able to add and remove from the proposed layout of the base is a surefire route to a complete mess. And the next thing the game needs to support are item stats.
Oh, yeah, he's right. There could be griefers who just place random things just to annoy other people inside the org, and then they quit the org, right? Absolutely. Absolutely.
When a building, road, or accessory is placed in the design interface, its status is set to tentative and indicated by a color, let's say pink. Tentative items are easy to move and delete. When you think that they're where you want them, you can then change their status from tentative to preliminary, which will cause it the extra tough.
That's funny because it's a bit similar to what the roadmap does, right?
Then when you are really certain that a particular item shouldn't be further changed, you can alter the status to final, which will give it a third color, let's say white.
So they have to do that in AR, augmented reality.
The need for multiple statuses comes from the fact that there might be more than one designer collaborating. One might be doing the industrial design, another the spaceport design, and yet another defensive design, and not necessarily at the same time zone. So they need a way of communicating with the others how far they are in their part of the design. The third team member is the sequencer.
What is that?
Now, the sequencer, and this is going to be a separate right from the designer because not everyone is good at both of these roles. What the sequencer does is take each thing that the designer is placed and assigns to it a phase of the project, a stage within that phase, and then a priority within that stage.
I did not understand anything.
Buildings may be labeled as critical, which means that if for some reason that building can't be built, let's say because a particular raw material is missing or because the sufficiently large construction drone is not available, then the project does not move beyond it. Now, why is sequencing important?
Yeah,
Some examples were given in the presentations. For example, buildings have no function or life support unless they have power. So within a particular stage, the power plant will likely have a higher priority than any of the other buildings.
Oh, so he's the guy who tells which one needs to be built first because of whatever resource we have available, and then the buildings that are going to be built will produce X amount of resources that will allow us to build the next one. Okay, I get it.
The first phase of construction might be the initial habitation buildings to get the base started, but then phase 2 might be the construction hub building, but first it too needs power and the landing pad to bring in larger
I see. So that's the guy who defines in which order everything is built.
Materials to build and support it. Phase 2, stage 2 might be then the refineries and extractors that are now needed to plan.
I think that Ray is really talking about the super large orgs, right? Because if you are in a small org, 25, even 50, 100 people, this is the job that just one person could do, right? These are for orgs with several hundred people that are going to build massive cities.
Circulation and roads. Then phase 2, stage 3 would be the extractors and related storage spaces, and so forth. If all this is making your head swirl,
it does.
Good. You're not the person for this role. And they should find that rare person in the org who is good at this and give them the role and rights. Because a good plan and a good design with poor sequencing is just as likely to be a mess as a bad plan and a bad design.
That's why we're a small org and we're going to stick to smaller bases, I suppose.
But sequencing serves another purpose. If your base is attacked and damaged, the construction drones, when activated, and I presume the construction drones are also the repair drones, will follow the original phase stage priority in choosing what order to repair the buildings.
Wait, can we... Yeah, but that implies that this would have to be done automatically or predefined in advance.
Because when you think of it, yes, the same prerequisites, such as wanting the power plants back up first, still applies as much as they did at the start. So all that brings us around to our final team member, the approver. The approver, well, they're the client. When the plan, the design, and the sequence all have come together to their satisfaction, the approver changes the status of either a phase.
That's Chris. That's Chris Roberts at CIG.
To approved for construction. And then if somebody activates the drones and materials are available, the construction drones get right to work according
so
to the
basically
approved
that's the
design and
boss.
sequence.
Yeah, right.
In a small org, does all these have to be separate people? Of course not. I'm describing a process for getting good results, not necessarily the number of exact separate people.
All right, Ray'sGuide. You want to join the Rat Club and do all of that for future bases? Feel free to join our Discord. He's already on Discord anyway.
Designer, sequencer, and approver rights that the org leader can assign so that the right tasks are being done by org members or associates with the right talents. Do I have to go through this process if I'm just designing my own personal hideout?
Probably not.
And you will definitely get a better result for having done so.
See, I got everything wrong. I got everything wrong. I'm glad I watched this video. That's awesome. Well, thank you, Ray'sGuide. I'll definitely keep that in mind, and I'll put the link in the description down below if you want to watch the original video. I've been your Rat, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.